Hello everybody, hope everybody's doing well. Welcome to part 2 of this nightmare fuel line on this chainsaw here. Okay, so we have to use this small line here, which I don't know why they did that, but it's really small. My point to this is maybe that's why these have that problem all the time with the fuel filter break. You know, the fuel line breaks at the fuel filter here. So I think I showed you on one of my videos that what I do is I just take like a golf tee here and I just stick it through the hole here and I just start reaming it until the hole is big enough to accept the fuel filter. Crazy, but this is how I gotta do it. I'll probably have to do the other end that goes on the carburetor too when we get to that point. I don't know if we're getting to that point anytime soon, but we will get to that point. See if that's enough. Nope, not really. Maybe. Yeah, it's working. Let's get it on there, you know, a reasonable amount. Okay. All right. Okay, so before I get too far ahead, I put the intake manifold back on, like the way I showed you. I took it off. Then I took the fuel line that we replaced here. I don't know if you could even see what I'm doing here. And I opened up the end a little bit so it'll fit back on the carburetor because the fuel line's so small. And then I took the line that came from the gas tank that goes to the primer bulb and put it on the longer what do you call it, inlet. And then the shorter one goes to the carburetor. So the two fuel lines to the primer bulb are hooked up. You would know right away if you hooked it up wrong. If you cross the lines, you would know right away. And then what you do is just, you know, switch the lines and then you should be alright with it. Now I'm up to putting this cover back on here. And let's see. Oh yeah, I'll put the handle and everything back on. Always take pictures of what you're doing before you even start, and as you're doing it, take pictures. There's a couple of pictures I wish I had when I go to put the throttle back together, but I'll figure it out. Okay, one of many mistakes that I'll probably make. Here's the throttle cable, and it gets routed around this plastic piece and goes to the carburetor. Well, it's supposed to come out this hole here, and it's not. It's coming out through here, so I gotta take this plastic piece back off and run the cable through here. Okay, so now that all this is all done here, I'm slipping the handle back on. I put the spark plug back in with the wire, but I couldn't slip the handle back on after I did that. So make sure you leave the plug out. And then I gotta hook up this throttle thing here. Kinda don't remember how that went. That's why you should take pictures of everything, but I'll figure it out. It's been a long time since I had one of these apart anyway. Okay, so I stuck the saw upside down in the vise here so I could put the handle on. And I'm not so sure that I really had to take the handle off to do this, but I did anyway. Okay, it's all back together, and I was trying to prime it. I don't know if it's priming or not. I think so. First thing we do is just try to start it. Hit the switches on when it's off. Not sure. Forgot. I spilled a lot of gas before. We'll try it on choke again. Try to prime it maybe. Try full throttle. I loaded it. I have to do it on again. I don't know what happened here. Maybe I richen it up. I richen up the high side of the carburetor here. I'm tired. I said this was the second part, but it's the same deck. This is part 2. I had to notch out these screws because I don't have the tool for this. Carburetor adjusting tool. I don't know, I'm getting pretty rich. Seems like it's starving, but I'm not quite sure. Alright, let's try it on choke, I guess. Always hated chainsaws. That's why I got my own personal ones electric. I don't even bother with this crap anymore. See what's going on with the spark plug. Pretty dry. So we're not flooding it out, that's for sure. I know, I was telling you before, it felt funny to me when I was priming the bulb here. Maybe it's just me. Try it again. Wow, look at that, it just cuts right out. Just cuts right out like that. Just starts right out for gas. The line the fuel line that I replaced, I left it pretty long. I hope it didn't get pinched or something somewhere along the line. Or there's nothing to say there's something wrong with the carburetor itself. I don't know. If we keep priming it, it wants to go. It's got a fuel starvation problem. Yeah. Alright. I have to continue farting around with that. I'm going to have to take this back off and see what's going on. Make sure the fuel lines are alright and everything. Okay. Okay, so the problem with this saw goes beyond what I figured. In the beginning of part 1, I told you that the first thing you want to do is make sure the engine runs before you go through all the trouble of changing the fuel line or whatever you have to do. As you saw, this ran for like 5 seconds after priming it. It seemed to be okay, you know. So we went ahead and did the fuel line on it. But after a while, this thing wouldn't even start anymore. I just pulled the muffler off. I don't even know, I have no idea if you can see this, but the piston is scored very badly in there. So that indicates engine problems. The 3 things I've seen happen to these is either old age, you know, a lot of running hours, or running them on just plain gasoline without the mix. Seen that happen. And the number one thing I've seen is people don't like to warm these things up. They run at about 13,000 to 15,000 RPMs. So you can't just start it up and just start cutting, you know, at high RPMs, because then it damages the engine. Okay, so yesterday I did it off camera. I pulled the spark plug out. I turned the machine upside down and started cranking it, and I got all this blackish, grayish fluid out of it, which means the engine, you know, the piston ring was probably starting to break up in there. That's why you get this. I think you can see by the spark plug hole too. Yeah, you can see on top here some residue from when I turned it upside down and started pull starting it. There's another test you can do. Like I said, I thought that this was going to be a runner, you know. So another test you could do is just grab the cord and just drop the saw. See, it's no compression. The saw shouldn't drop. It should, if it had compression, it would just stop. You know, you could tell it's dead. So, if anything, you got out of this is part one with changing the fuel line on it. So, I guess testing it, make sure it runs before you do anything doesn't necessarily mean anything, but I hope you get something out of this. And that'll be it for this. I mean, there's nothing more I can do. I did take the starter cover off. I made sure the fuel, when I was priming it, was going through. Everything seemed to be fine with that. It's a good part, so a lot of good parts on it. Eddie told me just put a brand new chain on it too. I guess before the guy borrowed it. So who knows what happened when the guy borrowed it. He probably started it up, ran it at high RPM right away. The important thing about the two-stroke is just make sure you warm it up before you start using it. That's going to be it for this video. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.